Hi, you guys. My name is Cherita, and I need an intro. Oh, before I get started today, I want everybody to go and follow my girl Daphne on Instagram because she's beautiful and she gives the bomb makeup looks. So we're gonna talk about what went down today because I'm exhausted, you guys. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I don't know how else to express myself. But it was brought to my attention by somebody that John Maclean, and if you don't know who he is, he's a beauty guru from Europe. I don't want to mislabel where he's from, but he's definitely not from the States. And he had tweeted out about 2 years ago, and we all know how it is about, problematic tweets coming up from the past. This is nothing that I looked into. This is nothing that whoever I was talking to looked into. It was brought up on oops. Hi, baby. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so John Maclean is a beauty guru, and I remember what I was saying. So this tweet from the past came up, I guess, on Reddit, and somebody sent it to me. So the tweet read, telling someone they are as white as a vampire is considerably more offensive than calling someone as black as a gorilla. Now, we are definitely in a state of culture or whatever where race is a huge thing. As a black person, being called a monkey, a gorilla, a primate, anything like that is considered a racial slur. If you don't understand why, I would advise you guys to Google it, look it up, do your own research. But when somebody tells you that it is offensive, then you should accept it and learn from it and then move on. So of course, right away, now mind you, this tweet was 2 years old and everybody wants to say, well, they're not the same person that they were 2 years ago and this, that, and the other. But obviously at one point, he felt that this was not an issue, and he actually followed that tweet up with, its connotation is more crude. A gorilla is a beautiful animal. A vampire is considered culturally to be a blood-sucking, wicked, evil beast. Now again, I feel like this tweet was in the time of Twilight, when vampires were considered beautiful beings, and they had glitter on their eyes and they were sexualized and they weren't looked at. And I honestly don't really look at vampires as blood-sucking, wicked, evil beasts. However, you cannot compare a vampire to a racial slur. And somebody said something along the lines of, that's like saying, oh, this person called me ugly, and that's just as offensive. That's just as offensive as being called the N-word. Well, no, both are wrong, but the racial slur and the racial connotation has so much more than somebody calling you ugly, which is an opinion, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I do know a lot of people started tweeting this out and, saying this isn't it, blah, blah, blah. And I remember from Beauty Truth Sleuth, her video about Ashley, Kyle, and Jeffree Star, she said something along the lines of, people always just jump into, they just jump to conclusions. They don't reach out for, they don't reach out for statements and this, that, and the other. So I was like, hey, maybe I should reach out to him and see what he has to say, because I watch John, his voice is calming and soothing. I love the things that he has to say. I feel like I get an education every time I watch him on the English language, based on the things that he says in his videos. So I reached out to him, still haven't gotten a response, but he has issued an apology. Now that's a whole nother situation, because his apology went something like this. I wish to apologize to everyone. I can see how my tweet came across as offensive. I believe that it is wrong to criticize anyone's skin tone. My intention was to emphasize that being persecuted for the color of your skin is unacceptable. I did not put this message across well at all. The last thing I would want to do is to offend anyone. I am truly sorry for this and hope you can understand. Now, I feel like that is just the standard I've been caught apology. And So a lot of people, and this tends to happen all the time with any apology. Underneath his apology, there were a lot of people who were not people of color saying, we love you, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. Even somebody said, I don't know what you said, but I'm sure you didn't say it out of malice or something. And number one, how are you going to accept an apology when you don't even know what was said? And number two, you cannot accept an apology that was not meant for you. So I went through and I was telling everybody, you cannot accept an apology that was not meant for you. And then this one person came back and was like, are you dyslexic or are you illiterate? And all I said was like, okay, so now we're calling names. Classy. Because not once did I call names. That's not what I do. I don't name call. I don't drag people. I just put my facts, my truth out there, and I let it be. And I try to make everything a teaching moment. And that's all I was trying to do. And, this person basically was just like, well, he apologized. That's fine. But he didn't really apologize for what he did. I don't feel like he learned what power that term has, or what the power that word has. Now, had he have said something along the lines of, I understand the racial connotation between a black person and a gorilla, and you can't compare that to a person, being called a vampire, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that would have been more of an apology than just, I apologize, I didn't mean to offend anybody, because that's not an apology. But of course, everybody wants to come and say, we accept your apology, or it's okay, but that was never your apology to accept, And then you also can't tell somebody how they feel. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, Kevin Hart just threw a Cowboys and Indians party. A lot of people are saying that it was offensive. I am not a cowboy, nor am I indigenous. But if somebody who is indigenous says, this was offensive, I am not, my culture is not a character, then that's their truth. That's their belief. If they say it's offensive, then it's offensive. Say you get hit by a car and your leg gets broken. And I tell you, your leg doesn't even hurt. How am I going to tell you how you feel? I'm not the one with the broken leg. I'm not the one that got hit by a car. So how am I going to tell you how you feel about something that directly affects you? It's very frustrating to try to tell somebody, this was offensive to me as a black woman, as a person of color, because, and then they come back and tell you, well, you're just being sensitive. Or, I was even accused of dragging him, which I never called him out of his name. I never dragged him for anything. I was not negative about the situation. I was accused of calling him a bad person. Not once did I say he was a bad person. You can look through all the tweets. All I said was, this was offensive. His apology was not an appropriate or correct apology, because I don't feel like he's learned. And I even took into consideration that he's not from the States. And all I know is what I know from living in the United States. I don't know how it is anywhere else. So I don't know if those terms are the same over there as they are here. And all I'm trying to do is just educate people on why certain things are not okay to say. I remember years and years ago, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, I was staying with a friend of mine who is a drag queen. And the very next morning, my mom called me and was like, hey, Cherita, where are you? And I was like, oh, I'm at my friend Day-Day's house. He's a cross-dresser or something. I did not use the term drag queen, okay? So after I got off the phone with my mom, Day-Day walks out and goes, hey, just to let you know, what you labeled me as is incorrect. That's very derogatory. And I'm considered a drag queen because, and then he explained to me what the difference was. And that was that. And not once have I ever used that term again, because now I know. There's nothing wrong with being a lifelong learner. I could have easily been like, no, you're really a cross-dresser because you dress in women's clothing. But no, like, take the time out to learn the differences. It's not that hard. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your well-being. But if somebody tries to tell you, this is this because, and especially if they're doing it in a way that is not mean or malicious and they're not calling you out of your name, I don't understand why you have to clap back so hard. I mean, I got caps locked, y'all. Like full on caps locked. And I was just like, I don't understand why you're yelling, because I'm not yelling. So why are you yelling? You know, and then, I don't know, a lot of people were thanking him for apologizing, which, once again, if I did something very, I don't know, like, so 2 years ago, say I was to call a trans person the T word, or if I was to call somebody who is mentally disabled the R word, and the tweets came back up, and all I said was, I'm sorry, or I apologize, that's not an apology. Even if at this moment, today, in 2018, if I still thought that that word was okay to use, somebody should explain to me, these words are not okay because, and I'm not part of those communities, so I don't know. So when somebody tries to tell you it's wrong because, take it, explain, oh, okay, now I get it, now I understand. Don't use the whole, I'm sorry if I offended you, because that doesn't show that you've learned. And everybody wants to pull, well, you're not the same person you were 2 years ago. You're right, I'm not. I'm absolutely not the same person. However, I have not shown that I still don't think those same thoughts. Just because somebody puts a person of color on their channel doesn't mean that they still don't think these things. You know, like, there's a lot of things out there that I don't know. And if I were to use a word incorrectly, I would want somebody to tell me. I would want them to tell me in a nice way, but constructive criticism, that's a thing. And I talked about this in my James Charles video. You don't want somebody who's telling you you're right all the time. You want somebody to let you know this is wrong and this is how you can fix it. I still love you. I still care about you. I'm still your friend. I still support you, but this is what you need to do better. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. So I want to thank all the allies that came to my rescue on Twitter, because it's frustrating and it's draining and it's exhausting to try to get your point across when people are just attacking you. So thank you to people who came to my defense. And I just want people to do better. We're all human beings. We all have feelings. So if somebody tells you this is not okay, just listen. Just listen and try to understand. I don't know when we became a world that lacks empathy, but we really, really need to try to make that part of our youth and other people that are our future. So, but that is my video for today. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. And also, do not forget to click subscribe for new content every single week. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.